In recent days, the whole village has been worried about a wild boar herd. They have been charging down the hillside in waves, tearing up the fields and causing chaos in the land. The rough, growling sounds of their roars echo through the night, causing the villagers' hearts to tighten with fear. When the gathering order was given, we immediately set out, heading toward the green hill where the wild beasts were hiding. Despite the worry, a strong thought flashed through each of our minds: we must protect our homeland at all costs. As the first rays of dawn grew clearer, we advanced, following the deep tracks of their claws in the ground. Reaching halfway up the hill, the air became unnervingly silent. It was so quiet that every sound from below came to our ears clearly. Every sense was tense with anticipation. We stood still for 10 seconds. Then, a long-range shot was perfectly executed as the target appeared, our eyes gliding over it. The shadows to the right were swiftly eliminated. The opening strike had set the tone, a resolute declaration of our determination to protect the entire village's crops. After our success, our steps grew lighter. Driven by a new wave of determination, we split into teams and began sweeping through every crack in the ground, every narrow path. Soon, we stopped for 10 seconds. A lightning-fast response followed, and a shot rang out. The massive figure collapsed instantly. Another lurking threat had been stopped in its tracks. Before we could advance to inspect, a signal from our team echoed. The wild boars were hiding far off on the hillside. We followed their trail and quickly moved to block the narrow path. A perfect decision. The sounds determined the fate of the battle, but the others were not ready to give up. From a distance, another team quickly surrounded them, cutting off all escape routes. We moved in. The perfect synchronization, like a campaign rehearsed hundreds of times. We successfully stopped the surprise attack. As the sun rose higher, our steps quickened as we moved closer to flush out the lurking boars. Wild boars, being natural predators, often hide in thick bushes. At times like this, both eyes and ears must always be on alert, ready to face any threat. This intense focus allowed our strikes to be effective, preventing any sudden attacks from the wild boars. Once again, this confirmed the skills and courage of the hunters in their mission to protect the peace of the village. The journey continued when suddenly, the hunting dogs picked up the scent of prey. They followed the trail and charged forward at a terrifying speed. The sounds of gunfire, barking, and footsteps blended into a chaotic, tense atmosphere. Thanks to the seamless cooperation between humans and dogs, the wild boars were cornered, with no way out. When the space fell silent, only calm remained, along with the feeling of relief on the faces of those protecting the crops. The battle wasn't over, but once again, the teamwork between man and hunting dogs proved unstoppable. The determination, sharp instincts, and ability to read every sign meant no target could escape the swift and precise control of the hunters. That night, the villagers could finally sleep peacefully. No one had to fear the roars in the middle of the night or wake up to fields torn apart at dawn. It was a difficult period, but it resulted in peace and security for the homeland. Today's battle wasn't just a confrontation between man and beast. It was a journey of bravery, a testament to the spirit of protecting hard work and life itself. Every drop of sweat, every shot fired carried a sacred meaning.
Texas farmers were no strangers to wild hog damage, but in recent weeks, things had escalated far beyond anything they had ever seen. Calls poured into local authorities one after another. Wild hogs were showing up inside residential neighborhoods, overturning trash cans, injuring livestock, and roaming dangerously close to homes. This had never happened before. Usually, the hogs stayed on the outskirts, tearing up crops in rural areas and retreating back into the woods. But now, they were boldly pushing into populated areas as if nothing could stop them. The city had no choice but to act. A team of professional hunters was called in, and they quickly identified the rugged mountain forest surrounding the farmlands as the hogs' likely hiding place. The terrain was steep, full of tangled brush and narrow trails that could easily conceal an entire herd. Even so, the hunters carried a major advantage. A pack of seasoned tracking dogs trained specifically for hunts like this. As soon as they entered the woods, the first bark cut through the quiet morning air. The team immediately spread out, each hunter taking a designated ambush position. Minutes later, the first gunshots erupted. From different angles, the hunters dropped several hogs in quick succession. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the sharp, echoing cries of wounded animals, rolling through the trees like waves. But that was only the beginning. The herd was far larger than anyone expected. Instead of fleeing in a single direction, the hogs scattered across the forest, turning the entire mountainside into a chaotic battlefield. Every pocket of brush seemed like a potential hiding spot, every shadow a place a hog could burst out from. While the team was sweeping through the area, a massive hog suddenly exploded out of a thicket. The moment unfolded too fast for most to react. Thankfully, the closest hunter kept his composure, raised his rifle, aimed and fired. The shot echoed through the woods as the animal stumbled and collapsed at their feet. That brief instant reminded the entire team just how dangerous these creatures had become. The rest of the herd continued to bolt in all directions. They tore up the ground, crushed brush under their hooves, and filled the air with dust and debris. But the dogs stayed on their trail, refusing to give up. Several hogs ran straight into blocked pathways and were quickly taken down. Every shot demanded precision, as the animals moved unpredictably and disappeared behind trees in the blink of an eye. No one had time to rest. Pausing for even a moment could mean losing the herd and leaving the community at risk again. When the dogs suddenly erupted into frantic barking, the hunters rushed toward the sound. Another huge hog charged at them with unbelievable force, but it fell within seconds. The team kept pushing forward, spotting new targets and dropping several more hogs as they tried to escape through narrow forest paths. By midday, the forest finally seemed quiet. Just when the hunters thought the chase was nearing its end, something unexpected happened. On their way back toward the trucks, a huge black-haired hog burst across the trail, cutting right in front of their vehicle. The team hit the brakes and reacted instantly. A hunter raised his rifle, took aim, and fired a clean, decisive shot. The animal collapsed, its body as bulky as a prehistoric beast. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the ridge, another group of teammates had run into a different herd. These hogs tried to slip between the trees, pushing each other aside in panic. From a higher vantage point, the hunters had a clear view. They aligned their scopes, squeezed the triggers, and watched one hog stagger and fall, followed by several more. Each shot was controlled, methodical, and precise. The gunshot had barely faded when the hounds began howling again, signaling another target down in the valley. The hunting team immediately rushed toward the sound, sliding over the layer of dry leaves. At the base of the hill, another group of wild boars was trying to slip into the low brush. We moved into better positions, waited for the moment they exposed themselves, and then squeezed the triggers together, taking down a few more before they could scatter. Today's video comes to an end here. Thanks for sticking with us until the final moments. What do you think about this intense hunt? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next heart-pounding adventures.
After countless difficult ground hunts, the team of hunters finally realized one thing. Tracking feral hogs from the ground wasn't just exhausting, it was dangerous. These animals could be standing only a few meters away, yet in the blink of an eye, they would slip into the thick brush and vanish completely. Dense vegetation worked as the perfect shield, making it nearly impossible to predict their escape direction. That frustration pushed the hunters toward a bold and unconventional idea, taking the fight into the air. Across the United States, feral hogs aren't just pests. Their explosive reproduction rate allows their numbers to skyrocket within just a few seasons. A single sow can produce more than a dozen piglets per year, and as these herds grow, they destroy farmland, erode soil, and damage the local ecosystem. The annual agricultural losses caused by them reach into the billions. Controlling their population isn't optional anymore. It has become a responsibility that must be taken seriously. That's when the team decided to adopt a new strategy, using a helicopter to pursue them. The Robinson R-44 Raven was prepared meticulously, paired with a Wedgetail Industries WT-25 chambered in .308 Winchester, well known for its stability and stopping power. After all equipment was checked, the helicopter lifted off, heading toward the open plains and farmlands bordering the forest, where fresh hog activity had been reported. From above, everything became dramatically easier to see. Torn up soil, trampled underbrush, and deep tracks carved into the earth formed clear trails pointing toward the hogs. It wasn't long before the hunters spotted the first targets. On a sunlit patch of ground, several mature hogs wandered, searching for food. Their dark, heavy bodies contrasted sharply with the field, making them visible from far away. The pilot, a veteran of many similar missions, adjusted altitude and stabilized the aircraft, giving the shooter the perfect angle. When the moment was right, the hunter raised his rifle, locked onto his target, and squeezed the trigger. The shot rang out crisp and clean, and the hog collapsed instantly. The roar of the helicopter sent the rest of the animals into panic. They bolted toward patches of brush, unknowingly exposing themselves even more. The helicopter banked and circled back, giving the team a new angle of attack. Within seconds, a herd of more than 10 hogs emerged into view. They moved incredibly fast, speeds comparable to a slow-moving vehicle, but none of that mattered against the aerial advantage. Shot after shot, hogs dropped while trying desperately to flee. Others rushed into denser vegetation, but their frantic movements only made them easier to track. In this chase, the hogs simply couldn't outrun the helicopter. As the pursuit continued, the team ran into a new problem. The hogs were adapting. The sound of the rotor seemed to make them warier. Instead of running in straight lines, they changed direction constantly, slipping behind bushes and using uneven terrain for cover. Finding them became more challenging, and the hunters had to stay sharp. The pilot swept the helicopter low along the forest edge. As the aircraft skimmed the treetops, many hogs dove into heavy cover, making it difficult to keep them in sight. But with skilled maneuvering, the pilot changed altitude and widened the search pattern. From that higher angle, the team spotted an even larger herd, more than 10 hogs, clustered near moist, freshly dug soil.
Balance.
The shooter picked out the biggest one in the group. He steadied his breathing, braced the rifle, and pulled the trigger. The hog collapsed immediately. The rest scattered in panic, but the helicopter quickly closed in. Within minutes, the herd was thinned out, each hog falling as it tried to disappear into the brush. The hunt continued, and when they neared the main fields again, another large herd came into view. This group was powerful, fast, and tightly packed. They sprinted frantically the moment they heard the helicopter, but there was nowhere for them to hide. The aircraft swooped in from the side, offering the shooter clear angles. One hog dropped, then another, then another. The chaos overwhelmed the remaining animals, slowing their reactions and exposing them even more. As the dust finally settled, the fields were dotted with hogs weighing anywhere from 80 to over 100 kilograms. After hours of continuous pursuit, the team had eliminated around 50. It wasn't enough to change the nationwide situation. Millions of feral hogs still roam across the country, but it brought relief to local farmers and slowed the destruction in the region. Each hunt like this helps safeguard the land and gives people hope that they can reclaim control. Do you think helicopter hog hunting is the most effective solution today? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another action-packed adventure.
On the snowy mountain peaks, where the cold can freeze anything in its path, wild boars still survive thanks to their thick fur and protective fat layers. Despite the biting wind and bone-chilling temperatures, they rush down to the farmlands, causing severe destruction during the harsh winter. They flip soil and rocks, tear apart crop rows, and even threaten local farmers. Unable to stand by and watch their homeland being ravaged, brave hunters step into the frozen wilderness to protect the people. Can they overcome the brutal weather and face these powerful animals? The journey ahead will reveal everything. We moved along the western hillside, where the snow had begun to melt into streaks on the cold rocks. This was the area predicted to show signs of wild boars. John released the hunting dogs, directing them toward the lone boars that caused the most damage to farms. It didn't take long before the dogs barked furiously. They pushed the first target toward me. As it charged, I calmly raised my rifle and fired a precise shot. The creature staggered, easily weighing over 200 kilograms. A major threat had been dealt with, and our first victory was secured. We continued higher up the slope. In areas where the snow still covered the ground, our team worked to block the herd before warmer weather encouraged them to roam further. From a distance on the snowy ridges, small groups of boars appeared one after another. We quickly deployed our strategy, focusing first on the solitary ones. At more than 300 m away, John gently pulled the trigger. The blast echoed across the snowy mountains, and the target collapsed instantly. The remaining boars, near and far, were swiftly tracked by the marksmen in our team. Strict discipline, years of experience, and perfect teamwork helped us prevent a potential wave of devastation. Do not be fooled into thinking everything was easy. John's long-range shots came from countless hours of training and unwavering discipline. Throughout the pursuit, binoculars served as our second pair of eyes, capturing every subtle movement on the snow. Dark silhouettes gradually emerged on the white backdrop. Locking onto distant targets required more than accuracy, it demanded calculation of distance, wind, and bullet trajectory. Each silhouette that fell represented not only a victory, but also a promise of a protected harvest season. Meanwhile, on the western slope, Nick spotted a group of wild boars basking on an open patch of snow. A gunshot rang out, and he immediately chased after the fleeing animals. Yet no matter how hard he tried, their incredible speed left him behind. He pulled out his iPhone 16 to signal the team. Within minutes, the group arrived and surrounded the area. No wild boar could slip away. If this part excites you, remember to like and share, it motivates us to bring even more spectacular encounters. The pursuit continued relentlessly. Fresh tracks on the snow led Nick and me to a massive wild boar. The moment we faced it, I knew the weapon in my hands was more than equipment. It was a sharp warning, a decisive end to the chaos these animals had caused for so long. As darkness settled in, we decided to sweep the area one last time before heading home. Any remaining animals were handled swiftly. The mountains became peaceful again, and the locals could rest easier knowing their land was safer this winter. the winter operation ended. Everything was carried out in compliance with United States hunting laws. The trophies piled high on the Toyota Land Cruiser represented not only hard work and effort, but also a sacred responsibility, protecting the crops and the people of this land.
Every path was lined with makeshift traps the farmers had set overnight, and they stood silently, worry reflected in their eyes. Wild boars were not only destroying crops, they were a constant threat to this entire area. Even with traps laid out, those cunning creatures always found ways to slip through and return to wreak havoc as if nothing could stop them. That was why we were called in, to stop the intruders before they struck again. This was not just a confrontation between humans and beasts, but a tense struggle between people and the untamed wilderness. As the sun climbed higher, our team prepared for the challenge ahead. The forest had been quiet, but suddenly the barking of hounds shattered the silence. The chase officially began. I moved with steady steps, every sense sharpened with each moment. Not long after, that dark figure was cornered by our seasoned hunting dogs. I kept my breathing calm, waiting for the perfect moment. No haste, no mistakes. When the time came, I gently pulled the trigger. The shot struck precisely where it needed to, and the creature fell instantly. That victory gave our entire team a renewed sense of strength. Soon after, another massive shadow appeared, weaving through dense bushes. I stopped at once, controlling my breathing. Each movement had to be careful and deliberate. Once I reached the right distance, I raised my rifle, aimed carefully, and fired. Two crisp sounds echoed through the forest, and the boar collapsed onto the bed of dry leaves. We continued deeper into the dense forest. Here, every faint sound and unusual scent could signal another target nearby. The distinctive musk of wild boars filled the air. I tightened my grip, ready for whatever might appear. From afar, a group of boars rushed toward us, fierce and wild. Gunshots rang out, roars followed, and each shot was firm and decisive. One by one they fell, and only then did I grasp how narrow the line between safety and danger truly was. few minutes later, my loyal four-legged companion picked up a scent. Its bark grew urgent, echoing through the woods. The other hounds quickly joined in, surrounding the target with perfect coordination. Thanks to them, I completed the task cleanly and safely. In this dark forest, every shadow might hide danger. Without these faithful partners, tracking and staying safe would be nearly impossible.
I realized just how close I was to danger.
From a distance, Thomas signaled. Following the familiar barking, I spotted a large boar moving beneath the canopy. Everything seemed to slow down. I raised my rifle, aimed steadily, took a deep breath, and fired. The shot found its mark in an instant. The entire team nodded in satisfaction. Hours of intense pursuit passed. When the final sunlight faded, we hurried to leave the forest before darkness swallowed the paths. But just as the day seemed to be ending, a shadow moved ahead. The last one had not yet been found. The dog sprang forward, cutting off its escape. I quickly aimed, confirmed the position, and fired the final shot of the day. A sharp, clean sound echoed, marking the end of a dramatic journey into the wild. Today we completed our mission, but the struggle between humans and these invasive creatures continues. Thank you for accompanying us on this challenging journey. If this story stirred excitement and suspense in you, remember to hit like, subscribe, and share to support us on more thrilling expeditions ahead.
Locked. Closing.
The sky was still soaked in early morning mist when I stepped onto the field. The makeshift traps the farmers had set through the night were still wet with dew, lying silently along the narrow paths. The farmers stood nearby, their faces carrying more worry than expectation, because the wild boars around here were never easy to deal with. They could tear through an entire crop field overnight and disappear before anyone realized what happened. No fence, no barrier seemed enough to stop them. That was why we had been called in, to prevent another wave of destruction before it began. I knew this wasn't just another hunt. It was a tense confrontation between people and the intense, unpredictable force of the wild. As the sun slowly pushed through the thin clouds, our team started preparing to move into the forest. The quiet of the morning was suddenly broken by the sharp barking of the hounds, echoing through the trees. The pursuit had officially begun. Every step I took was careful and deliberate. It felt as though my senses had sharpened. The crackle of dry leaves, the smell of damp soil, even the faintest movement in the underbrush made my heartbeat quicken. Before long, the dogs cornered a boar between two thick stands of trees. I steadied my breathing, refusing to let nerves take over the moment. When the distance was right and the angle was clear, I squeezed the trigger. The shot cracked crisply through the air, and the boar collapsed almost instantly. Even though I'd been through scenes like this many times, I still felt the tension gradually release in my chest. But the forest gave us no time to relax. Not much farther ahead, I spotted another massive shape moving through the dense shrubs. I froze, adjusted my posture, and counted the seconds in my head. 2 shots rang out, echoing through the open space, and the boar fell onto a bed of fallen leaves. The smell of gunpowder mixed with the earthy scent of the forest floor, reminding me once again of how raw and unforgiving the wilderness could be. We continued deeper into the thick woods. The air grew heavy with the musky scent of wild boar, a certain sign they were close. Moments later, the ground trembled as several rushed toward us at once. Gunfire burst into the air. Roars answered back. Dark bodies lunged forward and dropped in rapid succession. For a brief moment, everything felt chaotic, and I became painfully aware of how thin the line between safety and danger truly was. A few minutes passed before my loyal hound suddenly barked furiously. The rest of the dogs joined in, forming a tight circle as they closed in on something concealed behind a massive tree. Thanks to their teamwork, I quickly located the target. Those dogs were like an extra pair of eyes for us in the dim, tangled forest, and without them, tracking and staying safe would have been nearly impossible. Guided by their barking, I followed the trail until I saw Thomas signaling from a distance. Beneath the shade of thick branches, a large boar lumbered forward with slow, heavy steps. Time seemed to slow. I raised my rifle, steadied my breath, and pulled the trigger. The shot hit perfectly, dropping the boar where it stood. The whole team let out a quiet sigh of relief. But the day wasn't done with us yet. As the last rays of sunlight slipped behind the trees, we prepared to leave the forest. Just then, a dark figure shifted in the shadows ahead. The final boar had revealed itself. The dogs darted forward immediately, blocking every escape route. I lifted my rifle once more, found the mark, and fired. A clean, sharp report of the shot echoed across the fading light, bringing our long, exhausting hunt to a close. We had completed our task for the day, yet the struggle between people and these relentless animals was far from over. Thank you for following us through this intense journey. If stories from the wild like this keep you excited, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next adventure. We are standing in Florida, a vibrant tropical paradise, yet also the battleground of a silent struggle. Behind its serene beauty lies a serious issue: wild feral hogs. They are not native to this land but an invasive species. Each year, they cause billions of dollars in damage, destroying crops and harming agricultural lands across the state. The place we are in is a swampy area surrounded by dense pine forests. Florida is reported to have the highest population of wild hogs in the United States, with some exceptionally large individuals appearing from time to time. Our mission today is to reduce the damage they cause. Stay with us closely. This will surely be a memorable hunt. As we began, we built tall observation walls to monitor the entire area, ready for any unexpected situation. Only a few minutes later, several bold hogs appeared, rummaging through our stored supplies below. I quickly checked the target, pulled the trigger, and brought down the first one. The second one panicked and ran, but it was already too late. Staying calm, I aimed carefully and handled it immediately. This initial double success gave the whole team a strong boost for the journey ahead. We continued deeper into the forest, each step taken with caution. Suddenly, a massive herd appeared, possibly dozens of them. Clearly, the wild hog population in Florida had exploded. This was the perfect chance to land a decisive strike. I controlled my breathing, focused on the largest hog, squeezed the trigger, and watched it fall instantly. The herd scattered in chaos. The team quickly split up, following the isolated targets to prevent any threat from escaping. Kevin, my teammate, spotted a group of hogs rushing toward him. He immediately took position, steadied his rifle, and locked onto the leading hog. A series of firm shots echoed, and the hog collapsed right away. The others scattered wildly, opening new opportunities for the next phase of our journey. When the herd dispersed, we identified another hog hiding in thick bushes. I reloaded, steadied my breath, and took a precise shot. The hog was neutralized instantly. Right after that, we followed a narrow path leading to damp ground marked with fresh tracks. A few steps later, a soft rustling sound came from behind an old pine tree. I signaled the team to stop. A medium-sized hog slowly crossed the path, unaware of our presence. I moved to get a better angle, balanced myself, and gently pulled the trigger. The shot landed cleanly, and the hog dropped moments later. Another target handled smoothly, giving us room to advance. By late afternoon, the fading light made our search more urgent. From afar, I saw a large hog moving slowly. This time, I did not rush. I stayed silent, waiting for it to come closer. When it finally stopped, I took the shot. It fell instantly. Once again, patience proved invaluable during the final stretch of the hunt. As dusk settled, we began following the old trail back. But from the dark edge of the forest, a final target emerged. Without hesitation, I reloaded, focused with all my attention, and fired the last shot of the day. That crisp sound marked the perfect end to our journey. We gathered the game and used a specialized vehicle to transport everything. All procedures were carried out according to U.S. wildlife regulations. Leaving the area, we felt a deep sense of fulfillment. So, which moment of this journey impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments.